second lowest in the league yesterday. The third down was the biggest issue for Brees. He was held to 1 of 10 with an interception on third down. That's the worst completed percentage since joining the Saints. He had been completing an NFL best 76% of his passes on third down entering the day. You got to, of course, wonder about the impact of that rib injury. His first 6 passes were all incomplete, the worst start he has had in his career. Here he was speaking last night after the game as well as today.
Are you 100%?
No, but I'm on my way. I feel pretty good, all things considered. You know, obviously day after a game, soreness, kind of the normal stuff. A lot of yesterday was just kind of getting the feel back, you know, for me, honestly, especially to start that game. So, you know, there were times where we got rolling. There were times where we made some big plays and did some good things, but just not quite enough.
And now for more on Brees and the Saints, we bring in Marcus Spears. Now, the Saints find themselves just 1 game back of the Packers for the 1 seed in the NFC. And we heard Brees say he's still not feeling 100%. So how should the Saints now feel following that 3-point loss to the Chiefs?
Yeah, Ash, I look at this as glass half full instead of empty, because if you think about it, like if I told you Drew Brees was going to come off of a 4-week hiatus after broken ribs, fractured ribs, and a punctured lung, and you would put Michael Thomas on IR, and you would lose Cam Jordan during the game, who wouldn't be there for trying to get critical stops at the end of the game to get Drew Brees in this offense the ball back, and we would lose by 3 to the Kansas City Chiefs, I walk away saying we have a pretty good chance at full strength when everybody shows up. So now the Saints' job is to continue to have Drew Brees grow and be healthier and get this offense functioning the way that he wants it, get Michael Thomas back, have Cam Jordan for a full 4 quarters, and see if we can meet the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I know that game to me was played pretty evenly. Like a lot of games the Chiefs play in, we say, well, don't look at the score because it doesn't indicate what the game could have been or what it was like being dominated, just not on the scoreboard. In this particular one, though, if a healthy Drew Brees is back with a healthy Michael Thomas and this defense currently constructed the way it is that got a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes with just 4, the Saints will feel good about what they can do going forward.
All right. One of the things I love about you, Marcus, you're always keeping it positive, my friend, and that's exactly what we need in this holiday spirit times. The Saints have 2 final games, 1 at home against the Vikings, and then, of course, 1 at Carolina. Marcus Spears, thank you so much.
No doubt, Ash. Thank you.
Tony La Russa's hiring to be the Chicago White Sox manager in October certainly turned heads. He hadn't managed the team since 2011. But perhaps more surprising that he had been charged in October with misdemeanor drunk driving stemming from a February arrest in the Phoenix area. News known only by him and the team until after he was hired. Today, La Russa resolved those charges, pleading guilty to a lesser charge. Here's Michelle Steele with the story.
Before Tony La Russa can be responsible for the White Sox, he's being held accountable to local authorities in Maricopa County, Arizona.
Is Mr. La Russa also on the line?
Yes, he is. He's present with me, Your Honor.
Counsel, could I just please have your client state his date of birth for the record?
October 4, 1944.
10 months after he was arrested with a blood alcohol count over the legal limit when he told the arresting officer he was, quote, a Hall of Famer baseball person, the White Sox manager appeared via telephone in a Chandler, Arizona courtroom to plead guilty to a reduced charge of reckless driving.
You will be found guilty of violation of count 1, reckless driving, a class 2 misdemeanor. As for the fine amount, a fine amount of $1,383 will be imposed. You shall serve 1 day in jail. I will commute that to in-home detention. You shall also complete 20 hours of community service.
Again, it stands to reason that even though the Browns have won 10 games already this season, and Chris, there's an extra playoff spot available in the AFC and the NFC this year. We got 7 teams making it. You would think, hey, a team gets to 10 wins when more teams than ever are making the NFL playoffs. Yep. That would be enough, but it is still not enough for the Browns. They can clinch a playoff berth next week with the win at the suddenly resurgent, on fire New York Jets, tongue planted firmly in cheek, and then they need losses by Baltimore, the Colts, or the Dolphins to get in, so they need a little bit of help from the opposition of those 3 teams. Biggest thing here is Baker is really, I mean, look, even in the Monday night loss, I thought he was great. He was great yesterday. You mentioned how efficient he was. Why are you believing in him? What's different about it?
Well, I think the timing of the passing game is there now. You know, with Baker Mayfield, some of the things that they were doing in the first half of the season, it just looked a little bit off. But now it feels like it's in sync. And I guess that should be a reasonable expectation that this is the time that they start clicking, given the season that we've had in the offseason. No OTAs, no mini camps, you know, modified training camp schedule. So, you know, you're trying to figure things out on the fly. And I think now is that time where they're hitting that sweet spot. And it's perfect for them because this is when you want to be playing your best football. You want to be going into the playoffs with a lot of momentum, and you can certainly say that about the Cleveland Browns in the way they're playing right now.
So you look at Stefanski last year at this time working with the Minnesota Vikings. You extract him from the Vikings, you put him on the Browns, and you look what's happened to the Vikings after that 1-5 start. They got out to a nice building block after that. Now they've lost a couple in a row. Their offense seems to be scuffling a little bit. Meanwhile, he goes to Cleveland. He's been the antidote. He's been the reason for success. Where does he fall to you in the Coach of the Year discussion?
I think he's in the top 3 or 4 candidates for Coach of the Year. I would put Sean McDermott there. I would still keep Mike Tomlin up there, even though some of the shine on the Pittsburgh Steelers is worn off with the 2 consecutive losses. Keeping in mind they played 3 games in 12 days, and their season has been kind of shuffled due to COVID concerns. So I just think that the fact that he's been able to keep that group together, even with the injuries, and Big Ben coming back from the injury that he had with the elbow, I just feel good about the job that Mike Tomlin has done. Sean McDermott's in that conversation as well. So I just think that Stefanski and what he's done and having the potential to get the Cleveland Browns back into the postseason for the first time in 2002 and seemingly stabilizing the organization, you have to give him credit for that.
There's no doubt about it. Also, we mentioned Odell was kind of there in spirit. He certainly wasn't there last night. As I mentioned during the touchdown that Landry had, he stood up, popped the 1, popped the 3. Obviously, Odell had so many great moments in that end zone. In the first quarter of the game, there was almost a one-handed catch right where Odell made his famously
right in
a
that
few
same
years
end
ago,
zone.
right?
Yep.
There's some karma, something going on there last night for the Giants and the Browns. But we've had this discussion all season long, and it seems ridiculous when you say it on its face. But with regards to a little bit less pressure, a little bit regards to Baker having a little bit more say and latitude in the offense, do you think the extraction of Odell, not taking anything away from his talent, but just that he's always going to want the ball and there's always pressure to go that way, has having no Odell for this stretch, not counting his talent, for this stretch, helped Baker maybe ease some of the pressure off him?
Well, I think it's put more focus on Baker in terms of him understanding the offense and where he needs to go with the football, not trying to do too much, but playing within the structure of what Kevin Stefanski is trying to provide. And when you do that, when you play within yourself as a player and you trust the pieces around you, you're going to have success in this league. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing, leaning on the running game when it calls for it, but then being opportunistic with shots and chunk plays downfield. I think that's the most important thing. Baker Mayfield being able to take advantage of the play action as Kevin Stefanski's dialing it up. Coming into yesterday's game, Baker Mayfield was top 5 in yards off of play action. He was second in terms of quarterback rating off of play action. So I have 4th in terms of yards per attempt. So I think that Baker Mayfield has a good feel for